The scene is set outside the Odyssey Theatre. A black Mercedes pulls within the parking lot. Its lights and high beams on. A silhouetted figure limps with a telltale click, clack of a metal plane. An older gentleman in a suit rises out of the driver's seat and bows. John Stanhope soon enters the car. The driver closes the door and the car sets forth. "Where to, sir?" says the ghoul Geoffrey. "It is time for us to collect, Geoffrey. Tell me, have you had any success? Your agents, have they been able to discover any important news over our current investments?" "Let me see, sir." And with that, Geoffrey will roll his manipulation and contacts in high society. His roll will be difficulty 7 as standard for contacts. He is looking for wealthy businessmen or entrepreneurs in which John can exert pressure on to finance his latest expansions. Geoffrey's manipulation is 4 and his contact also 4. Ugh. 1, 2, 3. With 3 successes, Geoffrey rattles off a list of names to be determined by admins later. Excellent. I will call Scarlet and see if we can arrange a dinner. John then sends a text to his ally, Scarlet Weatherall, a high society socialite who organizes all his events, to see if he can get any of these names on the payroll. Wine and dine them as only John can before the net is loosened. The car drives out of the theatre into the darkened streets of New Sarum, heading towards St. Mary's Hospital. They have an appointment with a fellow board member of the medical community within New Sarum, a Dr. Wetkins, who John had made an acquaintance with during his charity ball, back when Reb Aronson was his student. The doctor is going to pay back John's kindness in releasing the malpractice suits against him. The car pulls up to the hospital and John limps out and towards it, going up to the poor admin clerk at the desk asking for Dr. Wetkins, and is led to the doctor's office, cursibly on the 3rd floor, so John has to take the elevator due to his condition. But he soon reaches the office door, a plain cubicle, as befitting of the poor conditions of the medical community within the city.
The door will open for John Stanhope, and in the door opening stands Dr. Harold Wetkins. And he has a stern face, but his eyes still look bright. And he will open the door for Mr. Stanhope and say, "Mr. Stanhope, please come in."
"Oh, please call me John, Harold. I'm sure we have known each other for long enough now. How are you?"
"I'm doing quite well at the moment."
"Excellent. Glad to hear it. May we speak within your office?"
"Of course. Please enter."
John will survey the office, see if he can get a tell on the doctor's personality, as it were. Quickly roll my perception and alertness, which is a great dice. But with all specs, should make it DC. 4 successes.
There are a few empty cups of coffee which have not been cleaned yet. There are a few papers on the desk. They are neatly organized, but some of them tend to stick out. The rest of the room is quite clean, but there are some trash cans which not quite full, but still have some teared up paper in them and some trash and all that. It's just a standard office, so to speak.
John will then do a perception empathy to get a read on Mr. Welkins.
All the successes.
Only 3.
Still all the successes. He looks... what would he look like? He looks quite sure of himself, actually. Yeah, sure of himself. That's the word.
I see that you've been keeping well after the recent controversy in the papers, Harold. I hope my assistance has helped garner you some support within the medical community.
Absolutely, John. I very much appreciated it.
I am glad to always help my friends in their time of need, Harold, which is why I come to you now. Many of my employees within the clinics of the city wanting to expand their borders. They've had the medical training, but they seem to be finding it very difficult to find work in any of the major hospitals. John pulls out a list. I wonder if you wouldn't mind helping them along. There's a list of around 20 names and positions next to them. Everything from doctors to nurses to even janitors and cleaners. All in various and different hospitals, not just St. Mary's, but in the various hospitals around New Sarum.
He looks over the list. And then, I shall see what I can do in these hospitals and for these people. I'm sure that I can arrange something.
Excellent, excellent. After all the unfortunate employees that have been let go due to the malpractice suits, I'm sure there's positions open now.
Yes, I do believe so.
John smiles sweetly. Is there anything else I can do for you, Harold?
No, there is nothing at the moment that comes to my mind.
Excellent. Whenever you want to relax after your stressful job, do not hesitate to come towards the Looking Glass Cabaret. I am friends with the owner, and I can make sure that we can accommodate for any tastes, Harold. All discretion given, of course.
Of course. Very much appreciated.
Well, I will not take up any more of your valuable time.
Well, let me see you through the door.
Always a pleasure, Harold.
And he opens the door for John, stands up, so he can get out of the office.
John limps through the echoing, sterile corridors of the hospital, twirls his cane a little. Stage 1 complete. A lot easier than I expected. When he reaches the bottom of the ground floor in the elevator, Jeffrey is there waiting for him. I thought I told you to stay by the car. I'm sorry, sir, but there has been a development. Ventrue Tower called on your private line. There is a individual there that wishes to speak to the Ventrue Primogen. How? Or the audacity of it all. Who is this? I am unaware, sir. I've simply stated a retainer of the late prince. Fine. I will make him pay for interrupting my valuable time. And with that, John and Jeffrey go into the car and drive through the streets towards Ventrue Tower.
Sitting in the foyer of Ventrue Tower is a man who's rather out of place. He's sort of hunched over, and while wearing sort of modern sports gear with a hood up, and looking a little bit dishevelled from being caught in the rain earlier. He looks as he sees someone walk in.
John eyes this gentleman. And who are you?
The gentleman, realising he's being addressed by a superior, straightens up and pulls down his hood. And John may notice the butler that Reb kept on that used to be Lotharius's main butler. And if he does, he will notice the man, while not looking physically older, something about his demeanour seems to have aged and still seems in some less than best emotional state.
Alfred. Good lord. You're still alive?
He leans heavily on this stick and bows. My lord?
Come, come then, Alfred. Let us not speak in the corridor. Who knows what ears might be listening.
Rapid simply nods and almost speaks, she just simply nods again.
The two head through Ventrue Tower up towards one of the boardroom offices. John takes the head seat at the table, leans back. Please, take a seat, but tell me what's on your mind.
Rapid will give another bow and put the stick to one side and take off the hoodie that he's wearing, and in fact be wearing a suit underneath. And he'll take off the sweatpants he had over his suit jacket and the shoes he's wearing and put them in a pile next to the thing, the hoodie. Sorry, much better now. Thank you, sir, my lord. And he tentatively takes a seat. Precautions. Dangerous times.
That they are, for some who cannot weather them.
I am here because it is time for me to act upon the last wishes of my late master.
John,
And with a shaking hand, he reaches in his jacket pocket and pulls out a sealed letter and begins to open it. I have been busy collecting myself after the shattering news and putting in effect his initial instruction. I have not read these yet, his voice almost breaking. Shall I continue?
Yes, please do.
We'll take a moment and scan through the first page, and then he'll scan through the second page, and any other additional pages before he speaks. It says here that you, my lord, are to receive, and he pauses and closes his eyes for a moment, just steadying his voice. His voice returns stronger and more normal. A shop, garrote, that was particularly favoured by Reb Aronson for those unwanted guests. A hidden belt, buckle, punt dagger that he often wore. His pistol that he recently had replaced. He was also personally giving you his late mother's estate. There is a company, a sausage company, I believe, Schoen's Sausage Company, that is now to come to you. It has several contracts for delivering these sausages, a reasonable area of real estate, I believe, in the warehouse district. It is not entirely yours, the real estate. Part of that is to go to Ariadne, a small little hideaway of some sort that he had for himself, but the whole of the business and the business premises is yours. And then there is this, and he goes inside his pocket and pulls out a set of keys and puts them on the table, and then puts them closer to Stanhope. The keys to the Odyssey Casino. He had been entrusted it, I understand, by one of your colleagues, and he wanted this to go to you should he not be there to oversee it. I shall, if it is okay with you, my lord, read the other details of how his things are to be distributed.
Of course. As the primogen of the venture, it is my duty to make sure that the last wishes of our prince is upheld.
I see, Primogen. Congratulations. There is more for you here later, I think, than to Ariadne, his friend, that young woman. He gives his rifle so that she might protect herself and be careful in the future. There is a car, modern car. He used to give her the opera house also, and she used to have one of the company cars, the clan cars, and a driver upon demand to drive her where she wished for the foreseeable future. There is to go £10,000, sorry, dollars, still thinking other money, and her choice of any and maybe even all of his training weapons and equipment, some of which is in fact stored in the Schoen's Sausage Company little room that she is also to have. To Iris, his sister by recent blood, there are a number of small companies. There is also a proportion of Reb's resources to be allocated to her, that which has not been implemented in various trust fund type mechanisms to allow some of these entities he has passed on to people to exist. The legal details will be forwarded. There is a number of personal items that are to go to her. Also, I will not bore you with them, like one of his other favourite weapons and another such. To the Primogen of Clan Ventru are to be given a number of assets to be used for the benefit of the clan, to strengthen it, to maintain it, and to the duty that all Ventru must know. I'm merely reading or reiterating emphasis in this letter, my lord. He is going to give his credit checking and financial services company, one which has been up and running for many, many decades. He is to give also control and ownership of First Founding Security, which he set up many months ago and has some very lucrative contracts within the airport and the docks and quite a few other places, and some standing arrangements with Dragonstone Security. He is also to give Metal Storm's arms manufacturer. It is a interesting weapons manufacturing place. I do not know the extent of its capabilities, but it did provide some use to him over the recent months. And there is also to go and be disposed of, as is wished, the mansion of the late Count von Hoensbroek and the current level of staff there. It was felt by Mr. Aronson that it would be best to maintain activity there while the threat of the Sabbats was around and they were aware of the location connected to him, and then withdraw and sell on. But it says here quite clearly it is up to the Primogen to do with it as he wishes. The staff there, if I recall, is a number of groundskeepers part-time, one full-time, and 5 or 6 security personnel. It is much less than it used to be since he moved his operation. Also brought to the attention of the Primogen to be dealt with in a just and reasonable manner is that of his ghouls and his herd that he maintained. Myself, preeminent among the ghouls. Lady Bourbon, also known as Baby Doll, a very questionable woman. There are 2 very qualified CCTV operatives who have been running various things at the mansion or the Ventru Tower to protect against certain ways of hiding. They would tell you more, by maintaining various distances and cameras, and I don't understand it. And there is the matter of the Special Forces former member who is not returned, I understand, since the incident. I understand one of your society have them in their hands since that moment when he left us. There is, I mentioned this not as part of the will, this is a matter to attend to, the matter of the legal care of the gentlemen who were there and witnessed what they witnessed. I do not know if they are still in the police custody or not. They are mortals, all of them, I think. And last, I understand he had a herd of at least 7 that he maintained. There may be several others, but I have not been made aware of them. They're not listed here.
Well, Tell me, Alfred, you seem a little weary. I suspect that it's been a while since you've had your feeding.
He will nod and shake a little, and his eye will twitch.
Tell me, my boy, these small businesses to Iris, is there any way that they can be lost? Who else knows of this will?
I live to serve my lord, and where there is a will, there is a way. And a man such as myself, of my age and my years, and good service and good reputation, should not find it hard to find a proper employment, I think. But I mean not to be too poor.
Of course. There. I always reward those with loyal service, Alfred. And someone of your abilities can surely find a place within my organization, seeing as I have a whole new set of assets I must now control.
And I have a good understanding of all of them. Might I also say, and he seems quite excited at the prospect of having a new domitor and some security. There is another matter which is not mentioned here, which if you wish to deal as you will with this Iris, whom I have never liked.
Go on.
Mr. Aronson had a number of CCTV recordings, which I believe are of his sister and her husband from the Opera House, and he has kept them well away for future use, should she need to be reminded of certain things. Perhaps weakness, perhaps of infidelity, I do not know. But I have made sure they are safe still.
Oh, yes. I think that the Ventrue should keep those little secrets very close to our chest, don't you, Alfred?
I of course agree.
Good. John takes out his cane, removes the bottom stopper, as it were, the fake bottom, to reveal a wooden stake, and he presses it into his hand, letting a bead of blood. He pumps it into his hand and lets the drops hit the table. Go on.
Trying to maintain control, Alfred stands up, begins to shake visibly, losing all control. He dives upon the table and begins lapping it up. And then, with blood smeared across his face, looks up. John, I live to serve.
Serve me.
And goes back and licks the table a few more times, even though there's clearly nothing there.
Serve me well, he says, looking at his hand and cursing his own cursed inability. Forces his vitae to heal it. Serve me well, and you will be able to be treated like more than a dog. When he says that, you see that there's a look of confusion on his face, and a little bit of regret. It's ever so passing. Anyway, Alfred. We have much to discuss. I would like you to gather the employees under Reb's control and bring them to the casino so I can process them. Make sure which ones can be useful. The ones in the mansion can stay. But the herd, the security detail, they will all need to be processed.
Of course, he used them mainly as maids and other such household as a way to keep them close. He was cleaning his face with one handkerchief. He quickly looks at one of the windows to try and check if he's cleaned it all. He's looking for a reflective surface.
Well, of course, they
Um,
continue their employment, but I have no need of our former prince's tastes.
I do not care of their future, only that they are not a risk.
I have to make sure that I can manage all these staff members and that they are loyal. I cannot have our society leaking out, and I'm not sure how much our prince has told them.
Not much, I understand, but he did fee from them, and they were always willing.
Well, I think they'll find my administrations far less comfortable than Aronson's. Come, Alfred, we have much to do.
Alfred will pause and go to pass you the handkerchief. Your blood, my master. I know things. I do not understand all of them, or many of them, perhaps, but I know such things are of value. I once saw what Mr. Aronson had done with one other kindred's blood, Mr. Crawley. He kept a small amount after they shared a little. I was paying attention.
John,
And
lightning quick, grabs Alfred by the throat. Are you saying that Reb had Mr. Crowley's blood? Are you saying that he has a sample?
it is no longer where it was.
Where is it?
I do not know, but I do know that within a few days of it being gone from where it was being kept, he visited, and he lists off a number of locations, most of them are businesses, Ventry Tower, Sister, and if you know the address of the Chantry, you will recognise the address of the Chantry as the place I think he visited.
I must. So the Chantry have it. And I bet he doesn't even know. Yes. He lets go of Geoffrey. Seems to be talking to himself while patting him down and straightening his collar, like nothing had happened. Yes, yes, of course he did. I taught the boy well. Yes. Let us go over our new financial portfolio, Alfred. Come, come. There's too many... One moment. John takes Alfred towards the security room of Ventru Tower. Goes into the security tapes, takes out the security tape in which they had just been in the business office and breaks it in his hands. Now we may go. And with that,
My lord.
that scene ends.